Tell us about a time when you thought, holy crap, this wasn't a joke? There was a petite girl in my senior classes. One day, she comes to our gym. I'm working on the punching bag. Others are on the machines. The girl goes to the leg press machine and sets it to a freaking 270 kilogram. I chuckle to myself, walk over to tell her she's crazy. But before I can say anything, she effortlessly starts pressing that weight. God, I've never been so afraid of a girl's legs. I turned around and went back to my punching bag. My little sister came down to me and said, "Mom died." I replied, "Nah, she's just really sleepy today." But she wasn't lying. Mom really had died. That's a twist. Seriously, I'm very sorry. If you don't mind, can you tell what exactly happened? She had a heart attack in her sleep. The paramedics, the coolest guys ever, said she went painlessly. I work as a mechanic at a car dealership. We see all sorts of weird stuff. Junk cars, neglected cars, just smashed cars that shouldn't be on the road. But nothing compares to the crapmobile I'm about to tell you about. So I'm quietly working on a client's car. Suddenly, I notice one of our porters. With a look of utter disgust, he's dragging some keys. Being one of the senior guys in the service, I ask, "What's up?" He replies that he just took in a pretty beat-up car with the smelliest interior ever. I laugh, tell him to get back to work, and pray that I don't have to deal with that car. But luck has it, it's my turn. Alright, whatever. I've dealt with cars with moldy mats, cars with rotten eggs and milk, cars with baby puke on the seats. It can't be that bad. I get in the car, take a breath, start gagging and bolt out of there. Grab my paint respirator and get back in. But even this professional breathing gear can't fully save me from the stench. The car was brought in for basic service, but damn, I'm curious what's wrong with it. Yeah, it's not very tidy inside, but nothing extraordinary. There's a McDonald's bag, old coffee cups, a sports bag, dog treats, old receipts, papers, and other trash. Nothing out of the ordinary. Alright, I drive this crap into the service bay and start a basic inspection. I was told the rear light was out. Open the trunk from the inside, get out of the car, and go to the trunk to replace the bulb. And unfortunately at that moment, I found the source of the stench. Dog poop. The trunk was literally half filled with dog crap. It's like the car owner picked up his dog's poop and just threw it in the trunk without a bag. I immediately slammed the trunk shut and took the car outside. I managed to avoid working on it, and our service manager gave the client a scolding for bringing the car in such a state. Worst day ever. Me, as a kid, where are my parents? Mom's friend, who was sent to watch over me. Your mom's in labor, so your parents were taken to the hospital to deliver your sister. Me. No, seriously, where are they? I was a very skeptical kid who had recently learned the sad truth about Santa. But lo and behold, soon my parents brought home a baby, and my mom had lost a lot of weight. Recently learned the sad truth about Santa. What do you mean? Santa doesn't pay his elves. I once had a friend who constantly told all sorts of improbable stories from his youth about how he stole cop cars and stuff. But one day, we got arrested and taken to the police station. One of the detectives checks his criminal record on the computer and suddenly says, "Holy crap, dude, you've stolen more cop cars than I've driven." I often visit a guitarist forum where the Gibson Les Paul guitar is highly revered. One time, a new guy joins and writes, "I think I found Peter Frampton's guitar." A little background. There are several very famous lost guitars in the world, and sometimes people claim to have found one. In 99.9% of cases, it's complete bullshit. The black Les Paul guitar from the album cover of Frampton Comes Alive is one of those guitars. It was lost in the 70s when a cargo plane carrying Peter's concert equipment crashed. So out of nowhere, this guy appears on the forum, arrogant and writing quite incoherently. The evidence he provided was utterly unconvincing. To cut a long story short, About 2 months later, he met with Frampton. The guitar was verified, and Gibson released a limited edition of the newly rediscovered Les Paul Frampton Comes Alive guitar. And I was ready to bet that the guy was just a liar. My professor friend casually mentioned in conversation that he was one of the founders of the group Gaelic Storm and briefly appeared in Titanic. All I knew was that he played the bodhran, Irish drum. I had been a fan of GS for many years, and in 2001 even played one of their songs in the school orchestra. And since my friend is quite the prankster, I was sure he was joking. But then I looked at the covers of my old albums, checked Wikipedia, and damn it, it turned out he really was one of the founders. Just the other day, chatting with a girl, she claims she's a great shot. I've heard this before, and it's always been bullshit. She says she even has a target hanging in her room. And I tease her, like anyone can hit a target from 3 meters. We agreed to go shooting. She arrives with her Smith & Wesson, moves her target about 20 yards, around 18 meters. I tell her, like, move it to 7 to 10 yards, you're shooting a pistol, after all. She responds, shut your trap. Then all 15 rounds from her magazine form a sieve in the center of the target about 30 centimeters in diameter. Again, she was shooting a 9mm pistol. I really had to shut my damn trap. When I was about 13, I was on a tour in Israel, and they showed us the Dead Sea. Our guide clearly said, make sure the water doesn't get in your mouth and eyes. Every time I bring a group here, someone thinks, what's the worst that could happen, and then takes a sip of water or dives headfirst. Don't do that. Believe me, you don't want the water to get in your mouth or eyes. So I've been splashing around for about half an hour. By the way, really cool place. They even yelled at me for swimming too far towards Jordan. It's impossible to drown there, and I got the idea to swim across the whole sea. Then a guy named Daniel belly flopped into the water, and the splash hit my face and 2 other guys. The next half hour, I cried into a towel, and my eyes hurt for another 5 hours. On the way back, there was a special corner for losers in the tour bus for Daniel and the rest of us whom he splashed. Oh, and that taste, I can't even describe it in words. My husband once told me that he often sparred with a famous kickboxer in his old gym. I was like, listen, I know you're in great shape. Yes, I've heard of this guy. Maybe you were in the ring with him, but it was so long ago that now it's unverifiable. 4 years pass. This famous kickboxer suddenly writes to my husband, and it's a letter like, I've always wondered where my favorite sparring partner went. Apparently, they're planning to meet up this summer, so maybe I'll get to meet him too. When I was a kid, I was always told to eat cashew nuts carefully, otherwise I could choke, like my great-great-uncle Carl. I had no idea who this Carl was and if he really existed. Then once, when I was 15, I was tossing cashew nuts into my mouth like candy and choked badly. That's when I decided to check if Carl really existed, and it turned out my great-great-grandfather indeed had a younger brother who died at 5 years old from choking on a cashew nut. In 2007 or 2008, I joined a rugby team, started talking to some guy, and we chatted about our girlfriends. Later, another guy told me that the guy the first was talking to was dating a girl named Emma Watson. I asked if she ever got teased about being named exactly like the actress. Turns out, the guy was dating the actual Emma Watson. When I was 4, we had a German Shepherd who occasionally bit people. My parents said they would give him to the police so he could become a police dog. Recently, after many years, I asked my mom if that was really the case or if they just had to put him down. Turns out, it was true. Our dog really became a police dog. Good job, Max. When I was about 7, and my brother was around 5, our parents took him to the doctor. For context, we were, and still are, very close, never argued or lied to each other. Returning home, he told me that the doctor smeared his belly with some kind of jelly. And then he saw what was inside his stomach on a computer. I didn't believe my brother and let him know, but he insisted on his story. To me, it was obvious that my brother had gone nuts. Several years later, I learned about ultrasound, and to this day, I'm ashamed that I didn't believe my brother and, even worse, called him a liar. I was 11. I was arguing with my mom in the hallway over some nonsense. I don't even remember what it was about. And my mom, whenever someone raised their voice at her, would always, conveniently, get a headache. It always seemed to me that she was pretending, trying to diffuse the situation and elicit sympathy. But this time, 11-year-old me didn't fall for it. That evening during the argument, she said to me, "Wait, stop yelling. Something's wrong. Go back to your room. I feel like I'm going to die." And I looked her straight in the eyes and screamed at the top of my lungs, "I hate you!" And she passed out. She often said she might faint, but it never happened. So I thought she had just taken her acting a step further. But she didn't get up. She never got up again. I was yelling at my mom to stop pretending. Then my dad came in, yelled at me, and told me and my little sister to go to our rooms. After that, I heard him crying. He had never cried before. In short, my mom had a ruptured brain aneurysm. It had been causing all those headaches she experienced. It's been 36 years. I've been to many therapists, pastors, and psychiatrists, but deep down, I know that I killed my mom. And I don't think there will ever be a day when I can forgive myself for that. Watch other videos on our channel.